Something has shifted, and they can feel it, even if they don't understand it. The silence, the distance, the waiting, it's ending. Because when marriage energy activates, ignoring you becomes impossible. There comes a moment in life when effort becomes unnecessary, not because desire is gone, but because alignment has arrived. You are not chasing anymore. You are not proving anything. You are not wondering where you stand. And strangely, this is the exact moment when attention turns toward you. This is the moment when marriage energy becomes active, quietly, firmly, and unmistakably. What once felt delayed now feels inevitable. Marriage energy is not about rings or conversations at first. It is a shift in presence. It is the way you carry yourself without trying. It is the calm certainty replacing emotional urgency. When this energy turns on, people respond differently. Not because you demanded change, but because your inner state no longer asks for permission. You stop leaning forward and life leans toward you. At first, it may feel subtle. You notice less anxiety, fewer repetitive thoughts, a strange sense of emotional completion even though nothing has officially happened yet. This is not imagination, it is preparation. When the inner world changes, the outer world must follow. Reality is simply catching up to a decision already made within you. You don't need to announce that something has changed. Others sense it instinctively. Energy speaks before words ever do. The absence of neediness is loud. The absence of fear is commanding. When you stop reaching out from uncertainty, your presence becomes magnetic. Ignoring you becomes uncomfortable because alignment demands recognition. There was a time when you waited for signs, for reassurance, for effort from the outside. But now that waiting has dissolved. You are no longer trying to be chosen. You assume selection. That assumption rearranges behavior. People who once hesitated now feel drawn to act. Conversations that felt stuck begin moving. Decisions that were avoided become urgent. Marriage energy activates when you stop asking, will it happen, and start living as if it already exists in principle. This doesn't mean pretending or forcing belief. It means emotional settlement. You stop scanning for proof. You stop fearing loss. You feel grounded. And grounded people are impossible to overlook. Notice how calm feels different from resignation. Calm is alive. Calm is confident. Calm knows what's coming without needing to rush it. This is the state where attraction deepens, not fades. Because when you are calm, you are no longer trying to control outcomes. And control is the biggest block to commitment. You may find that others suddenly become curious about you again. They check in, they observe, they engage more intentionally. This is not coincidence. When your inner state changes, you no longer energetically chase responses. And paradoxically, that creates space for response to arise naturally. Distance collapses when pressure disappears. Marriage energy is not loud. It does not announce itself with drama. It shows up as steadiness, consistency, emotional availability without attachment. It is the energy of someone who knows they are worthy of long-term commitment and does not need to convince anyone of it. This energy commands respect without asking for it. When you embody this state, you are no longer reacting to delays. Delays lose meaning. Silence loses its sting, because your inner world is no longer dependent on outer movement. And that independence signals readiness. Life only delivers stable outcomes to stable states. There is a reason things shift when you stop trying to fix them. Trying implies something is broken. Alignment understands that timing is not resistance. It is refinement. The more you relax into trust, the fewer obstacles appear. The path clears itself. You might feel a subtle pull to focus on yourself more, to enjoy your life as it is, to invest in your peace. This is not distraction. This is integration. Marriage energy requires wholeness, not longing. Two fulfilled lives align far more easily than two empty ones seeking completion. Ignoring someone who is emotionally settled becomes difficult because there is nothing to resist. No pressure, no demand, no insecurity to hide behind. What remains is clarity. And clarity forces decisions. People either rise to alignment or move aside, but they can no longer stay neutral. This is why things suddenly feel different. Not because someone changed overnight, but because you did. You stopped sending mixed signals energetically. You stopped wanting proof. You stopped doubting your worth. That internal alignment activates a chain reaction in the external world. Marriage energy also changes how you perceive time. You are no longer counting days or comparing timelines. You understand that what is forming is solid, not rushed. You value stability over speed, and that value invites mature commitment rather than temporary attention. If you feel less emotional urgency than before, that is a sign of progress, not loss. Emotional urgency comes from fear of absence. Peace comes from expectation of presence. One repels commitment, the other attracts it effortlessly. When marriage energy is active, you don't need to remind anyone of your value. Your presence does that naturally. You become unforgettable, not by force, but by alignment. People sense that you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are waiting to receive what already chose you. This is also the stage where old patterns dissolve. Confusion fades. Games lose appeal. You no longer tolerate ambiguity disguised as connection. Your standards elevate quietly, and the world responds by meeting you at that level, or exiting your experience. Marriage energy does not chase potential. It recognizes readiness. You stop asking others to become something. You trust alignment to bring those who already are. The trust is powerful. It filters your reality without effort. You may notice that conversations become more direct, intentions clearer, emotions less hidden. This is not something you orchestrate. It is a response to the certainty you now embody. Certainty invites honesty. Ambiguity survives only in environments of doubt. This is also why you feel less need to talk about what you want. Silence no longer feels heavy. It feels secure. You know that what is forming does not need protection from words, but from interference. Silence preserves the process. Marriage energy is not about forcing commitment. It is about becoming commitment ready, emotionally available, self-respecting, calm under uncertainty, present without attachment. These qualities invite long-term decisions without pressure. When this energy activates, ignoring you feels unnatural because your presence no longer demands effort. It offers ease, and ease is rare. People gravitate toward peace more than intensity, stability more than excitement, certainty more than potential. Do not be surprised if things unfold quickly after this stage. What feels sudden externally has been forming internally for a long time. Alignment often appears overnight, only because resistance finally disappeared. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where alignment needed you to be. The waiting was not wasted. It refined you. It removed fear, dependency, and doubt. What remains is readiness. Trust the calm. Trust the shift. Trust the absence of anxiety. These are not signs of detachment. They are signs of arrival. Marriage energy does not ask questions. It answers them. And when it is active, being ignored is no longer an option, because alignment demands recognition. Stay grounded. Stay present. Stay open. What is forming now does not require effort, only allowance. When inner certainty replaces emotional urgency, a powerful shift takes place. Emotional urgency is driven by fear, the fear of loss, delay, or being overlooked. Certainty, however, is rooted in trust. It doesn't rush or panic, because it already assumes fulfillment. As this certainty grows, the nervous energy that once pushed you to overthink begins to dissolve. You stop replaying conversations, questioning intentions, or measuring time. Instead, you feel grounded and steady. This steadiness communicates readiness without words. Life responds to emotional stability far more than to desire expressed through tension. When urgency disappears, alignment has room to operate. Decisions form naturally, not under pressure. Certainty becomes a signal that you are prepared for permanence rather than possibility. This inner confidence shapes how others perceive you. They sense safety, maturity, and clarity. Commitment is attracted to what feels settled, not chaotic. When your emotional world stabilizes, marriage energy activates effortlessly. Calm presence has a gravity that effort can never replicate. Effort often reveals insecurity, even when intentions are good. Calm, on the other hand, communicates self-assurance. When you are calm, you are not trying to impress, persuade, or prove anything. You simply are. This state creates space for others to step toward you without resistance. Calm presence feels safe, inviting, and stable, qualities essential for long-term commitment. People unconsciously associate calm with reliability and emotional strength. When you stop overextending yourself emotionally, you become easier to connect with, not harder. Calm allows relationships to grow organically, without pressure or performance. It replaces emotional intensity with emotional depth. Commitment is drawn to those who can remain steady, even when outcomes are not yet visible. Calm is not passivity. It is grounded confidence. And grounded confidence creates attraction that sustains rather than exhausts. Seeking validation hands power away. The moment you look outside yourself for reassurance, you place your worth in someone else's response. When you stop seeking validation, you reclaim that power. You no longer measure your value by attention, messages, or effort received. This inner independence creates a noticeable shift. Others begin to feel drawn toward you because you are no longer pulling energy from them. Attention flows towards self-sufficiency naturally. When validation is no longer demanded, it is freely offered. This is not manipulation, it is alignment. You stop asking to be seen because you see yourself clearly. That clarity reflects outward. People become more curious, more attentive, and more engaged, because there is no pressure to perform. Validation seeking creates imbalance. Self-assurance restores equilibrium. When you no longer need external confirmation, you become someone whose presence is sought rather than overlooked. Attention returns, because you are no longer chasing it. Alignment changes the emotional environment completely. When you are aligned internally, ignoring you feels unnatural to others. This is not because you demand attention, but because your energy is consistent and grounded. Alignment removes mixed signals. You are no longer hot and cold, hopeful and doubtful. This consistency creates clarity, and clarity forces response. People can ignore uncertainty, but they struggle to ignore certainty. When your inner state becomes stable, others sense that something is settled. They feel compelled to respond, decide, or act. Alignment quietly eliminates indecision. It creates an emotional gravity that draws resolution. Neutrality becomes uncomfortable. People either step forward or step away, but they cannot remain inactive. Alignment doesn't chase recognition. It attracts it. When your energy stops fluctuating, engagement becomes inevitable. Ignoring alignment feels like ignoring truth, and truth demands acknowledgement. Wholeness within removes pressure from connection. When you feel complete on your own, you no longer expect another person to fix, fill, or rescue you. This removes emotional strain from interactions. Pressure suffocates attraction, while wholeness allows it to breathe. When you are whole, you relate from choice, not need. This creates healthier dynamics, built on mutual respect rather than dependency. Others feel this freedom and respond positively to it. Wholeness communicates emotional maturity, which is essential for lasting union. It shifts relationships from survival-based to purpose-based. You stop tolerating uncertainty because you are not afraid of being alone. This confidence invites partners who are equally secure. Wholeness doesn't isolate you, it prepares you. When two whole individuals meet, union forms effortlessly. Pressure disappears, expectations soften, and commitment arises naturally because both feel stable within themselves. Silence has an unexpected power when it is rooted in confidence rather than fear. Neediness speaks loudly even when no words are spoken. Silence born of certainty, however, is magnetic. It communicates trust in the process. When you stop over-communicating or seeking reassurance, you allow attraction to deepen naturally. Silence creates space for others to think, feel, and move toward you on their own. It removes emotional clutter and restores balance. When you don't chase answers, answers find you. Silence is not withdrawal. It is emotional steadiness. It shows that you are secure enough not to demand constant engagement. This security increases respect and curiosity. Attraction strengthens when there is room for desire to grow rather than pressure to perform. Silence allows energy to build rather than leak. It transforms waiting into confidence. When silence replaces neediness, attraction becomes stable and enduring. Readiness is an internal state, not an external action. Chasing suggests unpreparedness, because it attempts to force outcomes before alignment is complete. Readiness, however, allows outcomes to arrive naturally. When you are ready, you don't rush, overthink, or control. You trust timing. This trust signals emotional maturity. Commitment responds to readiness because it feels safe. When you stop chasing, you demonstrate that you are comfortable with your own pace and worth. This comfort removes desperation and replaces it with confidence. Readiness aligns your energy with long-term outcomes rather than short-term reassurance. It tells life that you are prepared to receive stability, not just attention. Commitment does not respond to pressure. It responds to preparedness. When readiness is present, chasing becomes unnecessary. Things move toward you without effort, because alignment recognizes alignment.